This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, everyone. We are going to talk about the big moments of 2023. And this is really in any particular order. It's difficult for me to do it like a top five because, number one, they're so subjective. So it kind of just lumped the big moments that I feel captured 2023 together, and we're going to talk about those. And later in the week, in about, 4 or 5 days next week, we're going to be talking about 2024, the big things that we expect to happen in 2024, as, of course, it's only, a week away, and we have a lot to talk about there as well, and especially given this is a review week for WWE, with not a ton of revelational new content, we're going to be discussing everything that has happened and everything that we think will happen, and we will include patrons' thoughts as well, because we are going to be collectively figuring out what 2024 could bring on the men's and women's sides of things. So no doubt about it, it's going to be a wild 2024. But before we go forward, let's take a look back. I think it's worth every year looking back to reflect on what this year brought to the company, because this is a big year. No doubt about it. Cody Rhodes wins the Rumble. He faces Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania. Most expected him to win. He loses. Roman continues on his run. He doesn't defend his belt until SummerSlam again. John Cena returns. John Cena has a match against Solo Sikoa, loses. We had Edge's final match. We had so many different things happen in 2023. Rhea's continued dominance on the women's side of things. Becky Lynch going into obscurity up until just recently coming back for resurgence. Just so many things. I'm sure you guys can mention it off the top too, and including a lot of PLEs that really over-delivered, and that was kind of the theme for me in 2023, and a lot of people was looking back and saying, man, we had a lot of awesome PLEs that even if the build wasn't great, you came out of it saying, that kicked ass. That didn't happen every time, but a lot of times it did. And that was also the theme, on top of wild crowds overseas for multiple PLEs. That certainly helped as well. Just guys, it was a awesome year. Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, that was another thing that I think encapsulated the WWE fans. Gunther's dominant reign continues with no end in sight. That's of course going to be discussed here a little bit, but guys, let me just say off the bat, this is not a complete list. All right, there are going to be some things that you guys comment in here and say, well, what about this? What about that? How did you miss this? Oh my God, how about that? Of course, this is not a very long show. I don't anticipate this episode going super long. It is more of a reflection, but I'm not going to capture everything that you think was worthy of 2023 discussion. But send it to me, all right? If you look at the comments and you're like, hey, they missed this or that, throw it in there, all right? I'm curious as to what you think some of the big moments of 2023 are, and I don't need a top 5 list. I don't need everyone to compile a top 5 list. In fact, please don't do that. Because then, I've got 15 top 5 lists running around, and it's also, I think, usually not as good for a listening experience if everyone has top 5s, and rather just throw good moments, throw big moments out there to me. I'll be interested to hear what you think they are, or just give me your top moment. I'll be very interested to hear what everyone else thinks. But let's get to it. And one thing, new to Apple Podcast subscribers. The ad-free subscribers on Apple Podcasts are now also receiving the After Dark show with Anthony DeMarco. Under the weather last night, I recorded in his place, and I had a 25-minute show or so, and I'd encourage you to go listen to that, which is available on Patreon and is available on Apple Podcasts. So check it out. But it's only available on Apple Podcasts if you are an ad-free subscriber. You won't see it in the feed if you're a new or a free subscriber. So just a little bit of a tidbit there. All right, let's dive into some things that I think were big moments in WWE in 2023. I'm going to start with Gunther and his breaking of the Intercontinental Championship record. I think it's worth noting. It's more than worth noting. It's worth celebrating. All right. Gunther, throughout the 2023 year, has really been and become one of the faces of WWE. All right. Between the matches, of course, with him and Sheamus, which were amazing, and the triple threat with Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther at WrestleMania, which I thought was good. Not as good as Sheamus and Gunther one-on-one, but still very good. And then you have the matches, the series of matches with Chad Gable that were just wrestling clinics. All right. I mean, this guy has set himself up for main event anytime that WWE and Gunther are both ready. You know, the moment they want to pull the trigger, they can make it happen. Gunther has proven himself to be not just an asset, but one of the faces of the company. He has, to say he has reinvigorated the Intercontinental Championship is the understatement of the year. He has redefined it. I mean, I'm not trying to be overdramatic. Okay, I really believe that. He has redefined what it means to be Intercontinental Champion. Not just added equity to or added value to it. All right, which is important and is something that doesn't always happen with champions. But if he did that, I would say it was a success. But he has redefined it. What you think of now after as an Intercontinental Champion, after Gunther drops the belt, whoever that person is and whoever succeeds that person and so forth, Gunther's now the measuring stick to the Intercontinental Championship. I think he is the greatest, and it's not just because he has the number of days behind him. I know that suddenly greatest is directly associated with number of days you're champion in WWE. I don't prescribe to that at all. So I'm taking that out of the equation. Even if he didn't break the record, I would still say he's the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and I do believe that. Why? How is he better than Pat Patterson? Okay, well, first of all, just because you're the first doesn't mean you're the best. Okay, that also is important to note. You have other Intercontinental Champions as well. I understand that. I understand Triple H, or I'm sorry, The Rock and Austin were both Intercontinental Champions, but they weren't great Intercontinental Champions. Okay, Austin, I remember, gave up the Intercontinental Championship to The Rock. That's how much it meant to him. So, you know, Chris Jericho was a really good Intercontinental Champion, but Gunther has brought a sense of realism to the Intercontinental Championship. He has just, again, redefined, I don't know whatever word I can use other than that. He has absolutely just completely just revived the Intercontinental Championship. And thinking about where it was, I mean, guys, you remember when like Shinsuke Nakamura was Intercontinental Champion just a couple of years ago, and they never did anything with him? The Intercontinental Championship was like a forgotten championship, and it was on life support. Well, Gunther took it and just completely rebirthed it, and I love everything he's done. I love everything about it. I love everything that Gunther stands for. His in-ring work it's so different, but also believable. And he feels like he's actually that guy, that it's hard to see through his work. And that's not a trait that is often, I think it's a trait that's missing a lot in WWE. So Gunther, I can't say enough about it. And honestly, I don't know when he's going to drop it. It could be before WrestleMania, but it could be after. I don't think there's any room right now for Gunther in the Intercontinental Championship picture, or rather the world title picture before WrestleMania. They've already locked in who those people are, and they're not named Gunther. Plus, I think that you have Brock Lesnar looming, and people are saying, oh, well, he could face Brock Lesnar for the title. Well, no, he can't. They take the title out of it. It's like having The Rock and Roman for the championship. It sounds more important on paper, but it's not, for numerous reasons. But I think Gunther, to be honest, drops the belt before WrestleMania 38. Oh, my God. Before WrestleMania 40, I think he drops the belt, and then he's going to face Brock Lesnar. Maybe Brock Lesnar's the reason that he drops the belt. So, alrighty. That's a big moment for me. I don't know what you guys think. Sami Zayn turning on Roman Reigns. You guys remember this? At the Royal Rumble? After months and months of abuse, Sami Zayn, at the direction of Roman Reigns, is handed a chair to demolish Kevin Owens after Kevin Owens is handcuffed to the ring ropes. People were waiting for Sami Zayn to snap. People saw it coming, but they didn't know when. Many believed, including myself, that Sami could be the one to dethrone Roman, and I still believe to this day that he should have been the one. More than Cody, more than even Seth Rollins, more than Kevin Owens, more than Randy Orton. I still believe Sami Zayn, character-wise, was the right guy to do it. Now, that's not going to happen anymore, clearly. But this moment at the Rumble last year, nearly a year ago, can you believe it? Nearly a year ago, Sami Zayn took the chair that Roman handed him, and as Roman turned his back, Sami Zayn hit Roman Reigns in the back with the chair, and the crowd absolutely explodes. I mean, go back and listen. Go back and listen to it. Is one of the biggest pops of 2023. And then from there, Jimmy and Jay proceed to beat down Sami Zayn. But the damage was done. And Sami had split from Roman. And then they were going to go on to, of course, Elimination Chamber in 2023 at the Montreal Bell Center. And in one of the most emotional matches that we've seen in years in WWE. One of the culmination of one of the best stories in WWE in years in WWE was Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship in Montreal. Of course, Sami's hometown, and many believing this could finally be it. And it wasn't. It was not. But a match that, of course, we will never forget with Sami and Roman Reigns. All right. Now, this is a moment, and I've seen this on actually other people's lists. It's one we all saw coming. It's one that I said WWE is going to go scorched earth to get to this, and that was 1,000 days for Roman as champion. And they got there. And now, of course, they're looking at Hulk Hogan and saying the same thing. But he reaches 1,000 days as champion. So for what that's worth to you guys, I know I've seen it a lot. It is a big moment, but one, honestly, that begs the question, at what cost? At what cost? And what cost do we continue to pay as fans and the talent themselves continue to pay with Roman as champion? This is no longer even about storyline. You know what I mean? It's actually gone beyond story. It's gone in very few. I can't even remember the last story that WWE told that actually blurred the lines or even crossed the line into negatively affecting people's lives, real lives, not on-air characters, real lives. And what do I mean by that? Well, the fact that, of course, fans are angry and bored by it, but the actual talent who could perhaps ascend to that next level and use that as a springboard, and all the championship matches that we have been withheld from because of Roman's schedule and WWE. It's not, again, not blaming Roman. It's 100% on WWE here, the management. But all of the championship matches we've been denied that we'll never know could have existed, and the men's talent that are sitting on SmackDown going, well, this effing sucks. I have no champion, no top belt to contend for because that's always locked up every 4 months with, somebody else. So they're screwing with actual guys' livelihoods. That's not something that happens very often, where it's a self-inflicted wound that they continue to open. And I know they don't see that way. I know that they think that getting to Hulk Hogan's record is going to be somehow this magical moment that everything's going to make sense and the fans are going to say, oh, that was all worth it. It's not going to happen. There's nothing they could do anymore, as I've said. But I wanted to mention the 1,000 days because he did reach 1,000 days in 2023. Alrighty. Again, guys, this is in no particular order, but the other moment, and this is more of a kind of a wholesale business moment in WWE, is WWE being sold. WWE merging with UFC to form TKO. And something that we never thought would happen. Many people never thought that Vince would ever do it, and having Vince out of the driver's seat of his own company for the first time in his life is a significant moment. A moment that has really not been it's been a game changer because from a fan's perspective, you look at this and say, what is the creative going to be like? Okay, when Vince finally decides, or he's forced to move aside, what does the creative look like? And that's what fans really care about, right? Fans care about that. Fans care about how good is the product, how good are the matches, how good are the storylines, how good are the characters, that kind of thing. And rightfully so. Most of us, not all, don't have any vested interest in WWE's stock. Not to say none of us do. But the primary concern for fans is on-air product. And I think, generally speaking, it has been a subtle change. I don't think it has been a complete 180 of any kind from Vince's philosophies. There are still some things that Vince does or did that carry over to now that make you think, man, really? With Vince gone, we're still doing this stuff? Some of the goofy crap that they do that they just can't help themselves but do. Not paying attention to the women's tag team championships consistently was a big disappointment. And I know right now they're kind of on it and we have new women's tag team champions. I don't care about that because why should I? Until they prove me wrong, and I want them to. Why the hell should I care about them? So that is a big moment though. WWE being sold is a huge moment. Merging, right? Merging with UFC under one umbrella called, it's Entertainment Group TKO. I think that's the official name. So, again, and with Vince McMahon out of power. Absolutely crazy. I mean, a year that I don't think a lot of people saw coming just a few years ago. What else? So CM Punk. CM Punk returning to the company. How can you not mention this on anybody's list? I'm sure a lot of people would put this as number one. CM Punk returning to the company for the first time in nearly, not quite, but nearly 10 years. We'll round it. Everyone likes the nice 10. It's a nice round number. And the shirt says it all. Hell froze over. I really didn't think WWE should bring him in. If you guys want to go back and find my shows where I said that, I'll stand by it. I don't change my opinion. I wouldn't change my opinion then, even knowing what I know now. That's not to say it hasn't been a success. WWE bringing in Punk, I mean, if you don't think it's been a success, you're just not paying attention. You may not personally like it, but when you look at the numbers, when you look at the fact that he has like record merchandise numbers, he's number one in merch right now. That's making everyone money. The ratings show it too. Punk is a ratings draw. He just is. And he's a money draw right now. And think of all the cool matchups we could see that we haven't even touched on yet. That we haven't even skimmed the surface. Now, I know Seth and Punk is going to happen. When? We don't know. But Punk back in WWE at Survivor Series in Chicago is a massive moment in WWE. There's just no way about it. No two ways about it. Of course, Randy Orton can't not be mentioned here too. After being injured in May of 2022, having back fusion surgery, doctors telling him he may not ever wrestle again, and then coming back looking more jacked than ever. That's a big moment. And at the same pay-per-view as well, coming back in the cage match, right? So that to me, or the Survivor Series event just last month, was a massive pay-per-view for WWE. One that I think is going to have long-standing implications for more games. Long-standing. Because Randy Orton, despite my continued belief he's not going to beat Roman, he could, but I don't think he will. We have Punk, who is going to sign a multi-year deal, or has signed a multi-year deal. We have Orton, who's signed a multi-year deal. So I think these two, I don't know what multi-year means. It could mean 2, it could mean 4, it could mean 5, it could mean 3. I would say anywhere between 2 and 5 years is a pretty safe bet to assume. That means we have multi-year Punk and Orton floating around on opposing brands, unless they do another brand, shake up again, right? So there's a lot to look forward to. Punk is not going to be at every Raw. He is going to be, I think it's like every few Raws, every 2 Raws, every 3, whatever it is. But trust me, that will still feel like he's there full time compared to Roman Reigns. So, Roman is, for all the things that are frustrating about Roman's run, including the fact that without even having him be there, since the number of days is all WWE likes to talk about with Roman, and they use that as like the benchmark, and one of his biggest accomplishments is the number of days. And it does hurt every other champion like Gunther, who's over 500. And you'd say, if Roman's reign didn't exist, if his title run didn't have this crazy number, you'd be like, wow, Gunther's on fire. This reign is crazy long. But you can't help but compare it to Roman's reign. And then you go, oh, yeah, 500, that's a solid number, bro. But, Roman's at like 1,200. You know what I mean? So like Roman, without even having him be there, is overshadowing everyone else's run that WWE is keeping tabs on in terms of, they crossed 100 days as champion. They crossed 400 days as champion. It's like, yeah, so. You know what I mean? It's inadvertently collateral damage. But for the one thing that is good for his absence is when people actually are part-time in some sense, like Punk, who's not going to be there every Raw, and nor should he be. You're looking at this going, wow, well, okay, Punk, but it kind of feels like you're here a lot more, given that, we have Roman Reigns over there who's not here ever. So Roman, in that respect, is giving everyone else kind of a longer leash with fans than they otherwise would, because when you watch someone as champion for 3.5 years, and for the last year and a half barely be here, you look nearly 2 years now since the merger of WWE Championship and the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 38 against Brock is really when the absentee championship nonsense started. So nearly 2 years. We're closing in on it. That is one of the benefits to all the other talent is, even though if I'm not here for a month, fans will feel like, hey, he feels like he's here. When he comes back on that 5th week, you know what I mean? So that's the one of the few good things that has come from Roman's reign. So I'm trying to think of what else happened here. I mean, we had Bad Bunny. I don't really care. I'm looking at some of the other moments here. We've got Trish back. Trish Stratus on a run in WWE. I don't think that can really be understated or overstated enough. Is the whole thank you Trish thing was still was it overdone at times? Yes, but I think that fans unfortunately focused, and including myself at times, focused on how long the Becky Lynch program went on and Zoe Stark and all that, and we were just like, oh my God, can we please get back into a program that matters? And this is boring. And then they had the awesome kick-ass cage match to finish it, and people were like, oh, well, this ain't so bad. Unfortunately, their best and most emotionally invested match came at the very end. not great timing. But Trish Stratus going on any kind of lengthy run is significant. You know, like Trish, who's a mom coming out of her, out of retirement in her 40s, still coming out there and having kick-ass matches is something to be said. So, again, that was at Payback in 2023 with the women's steel cage match. So that was awesome. It was like a 20-minute cage match. Judgment Day can't be, they really, I think, had one of those factions that you look at and go, huh, could they be inducted into the Hall of Fame at this point as a faction? And I think they're on the path there. I don't think they're quite there, but look at what's going on there. I mean, you've got Finn Balor as one half of the Undisputed Tag Team Champions with Damian Priest, who's also carrying that Money in the Bank briefcase as Senior Money in the Bank. It's going on 7 months now. So he's coming up on the back end of that guaranteed championship opportunity. So keep that in mind. And I think that'll become prominent as we move forward, very much so. I think he could take Seth's World Championship. We'll talk about that in another time. But Rhea Ripley, of course, having one of her best years ever, even though she never really had any true opponents up until recently. I mean, she went essentially unopposed for months after WrestleMania. I don't want to hear about, in terms of storyline, not what I believe she's potentially capable of. Zelina Vega wasn't a real threat. I love Zelina, but in storyline, you just knew there's no chance, even though it was in Puerto Rico and the crowd was just hot as hell for her, and I love that moment for her. But Natalya, come on, no chance. There's certain people you just look at and you're like, can we get a real opponent for Rhea? And even with all that said, she has done an awesome job as the unofficial leader of Judgment Day. So I loved Rhea Ripley in 2023. Same for Dom, who continues to be the biggest heat magnet I've seen in a long time. J.D. McDonough making a name for himself over the last several months, joining Judgment Day officially, having good match after good match after good match, taking the bullets for the rest of the Judgment Day members. It's all been a lot of fun. Jimmy and Jay splitting, and then Jay going off to be main event Jey Uso. The rise of Yeet in 2023 can't be overstated enough either. WWE certainly made the right choice in purchasing the copyrights of Yeet for Jay and for the company. It's a lot of money there. Jimmy, although while breaking out and then screwing Jay at SummerSlam, and it was a terrible ending, it made no sense, and now he's back with Roman, and that still doesn't make sense, and he's still biting for the approval of Roman. None of this for Jimmy makes any sense, and Jimmy's not in the best spot right now, even though he's in the bloodline, because we've kind of been there, done that with family, the family line and who's next in line and what's the drama. Like, we're kind of over intra-bloodline stuff. But Jay on his own right now is kicking ass. And the rise of Jey Uso as a solo act has also been a lot of fun to watch in 2023. All right. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn winning the Undisputed Tag Team Championships was also a big moment at WrestleMania 39 this past year. Let's see. We got Bianca Belair, who took on Io Sky at Backlash in what I thought was a decent match. Went 18 minutes. Bianca Belair won in that match, if you forgot, at Backlash. We had, of course, Charlotte Flair injury just recently happened that it's going to, I think, create opportunity for talent, but also hurt the division at the same time, with star power being reduced, but also opportunity slot being opened. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest at Backlash, I think, over-delivered. Bad Bunny continues to impress and not embarrass, and that's always a good thing when you bring in a celebrity who you're always worried is just going to be an embarrassment, and we've seen that before. Let's see. We had, again, Rhea Ripley be anointed women's champion at WrestleMania. That was a lot of fun. And, of course, Cody Rhodes losing to Roman at WrestleMania was a big moment in its own right. And The Rock returning. Don't forget about The Rock returning just a few months ago to take out Austin Theory and tease us with, once again, nothing so far that has manifested itself into a actual match against Roman. So we'll see. I'm not holding my breath at all on that one. But those are the kind of the moments here. And I did cheat a little bit and look at some top moments of WWE in 2023. It's pretty easy to find. But those are my moments. I didn't go and copy someone else's verbatim, okay? But those are my top moments that I think were worthy of 2023's reflection. Now, what is in store for 2024? As I said, that podcast is going to be coming to you later next week and after the holidays, as we probably before New Year's. All right, it'll probably be like Thursday or something wacky next week. I'll do a looking ahead to 2024, but that'll be a lot of fun as we make our predictions and look ahead to what the chaos could create and be in 2024. So that'll do it for me. If you guys want to go ad free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go, or Apple Podcasts, which now has the ad free versions of every show, but also the exclusive After Dark show, which is not a PG show. That started just yesterday. I published that episode for those of you on the ad-free version of Apple Podcast as well. So, all right, and that is going to do it for me, everybody, I think, and we'll be dropping that 2024 preview show again very soon. I'm recording this actually on a Saturday, okay, December 23rd, but I'm releasing this on a Tuesday. I'm going to guess I'm releasing this on a Tuesday. I guess we'll see if I'm right, in place of the Raw review for my own top moments. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.